There's like chocolate in my blanket.
Saving it for later.
Ugh.
Yeah, don't eat that, actually. That's probably not good for you to eat
Not gonna
later.
do that. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Season Lamb Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello.
I hope everyone out there enjoyed, had a splendiferous 3/11 day.
Oh, God. When is that?
It's tomorrow when we're recording this, but it will be Wednesday when
I
this goes up.
swear to God, if I get a message from you that has anything to do with 3/11, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to drive to Indiana and I'm going to fight you.
3/11. Who remembers? Old school.
Okay, you can do that. That's fine. That's a really good joke.
That's the only good 3/11 joke.
It's the only good 3/11 joke. It's really, really funny.
Do you think the person that posted that on your Facebook feed, their energy was the color of amber?
Oh, of course, because it's old school. Does anyone
I don't know
remember?
what there's another 3/11 song, but I don't know what the other 3/11 song is.
They did that cover of like Love Song that I really hate.
Oh, terrible.
It's so bad because Love Song is such a good song, and then 3/11 just ruined it. What else did
Anyway,
3/11 do?
A lot of songs apparently. They did a cruise. I think we've talked about this before, but yes,
I'm sure we have.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about 3/11. We're here to talk about even dumber stuff.
Even dumber stuff.
But first, we have breaking news. By the time you're hearing this, it won't be breaking news, but as we are recording this, it is literally breaking news.
Yeah, like notifications, all that jazz.
E3 2020 is allegedly, by the time you probably hear this, it already has. Supposedly it's getting canceled.
Yep.
Because of the coronavirus.
Yep.
Along with literally everything else big and prominent that's happening.
Except for the conference that I just went to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this is not the least bit surprising, given that like GDC got postponed. Like basically everyone was like, okay, well, when is E3 going to cancel?
Yeah.
When's E3 going to be like, okay, we're going to give in? Late last week, I believe IM8-Bit was like, yeah, we're pulling out of doing the E3 things we were going to be doing. Whoops. And that was pretty much like that's not a good sign.
Nope.
You're probably canceling soon, aren't you? And late Tuesday night, multiple people are tweeting out that sources are telling them that basically tomorrow, Wednesday morning, they're going to make an announcement that says, hey, E3 is canceled, or maybe potentially postponed or whatever. But I think here's the key thing to come out of this.
The big takeaway.
Yeah, the big takeaway to come out of this is what we were talking about when all this was breaking down. E3's dead.
It's dead. This is,
you're not coming back from this.
Nope. It's been like a corpse for a bit that they've been like, what's that? We Get a Bernie's? Is that what the movie is, where they like have been toting around like the corpse trying to make sure that people think that it's alive?
I think.
I don't remember. Anyway, it's basically that they're like, hey, look, there's this conference, totally alive, guys. It's fun, right? And it's just like rotting.
Yeah, like the whole ploy to like open it up to the public, which I mean, like obviously, like that's a smart idea in general.
Ish.
Yeah, ish. I think. Could have worked, but then literally, I think they just bungled the whole thing the first year, and then the next year didn't really go over that well. And by the time like they really opened it up to the public, like E3 was kind of becoming a ghost town. Like Sony was pulling out, and now like other companies were pulling out this year. And I think the thing that a lot of companies are going to look at is like, oh, we don't have to go through the ESA and do E3 to get our information out to people.
Right. And I mean, like Nintendo and Sony have been playing at this for a bit.
Correct.
Nintendo a bit longer than Sony, but like I think this is really going to be what sells it for them, is that like we don't have to do this anymore. And I mean, with how much like rabid, gross fanboyism happens at E3 now with all the fan stuff, like honestly, probably better.
It's something that I think a lot of people have been saying for quite a few years now, is that like, why do people need to go, or why do companies need to go to the E3? Like, the internet is such a large platform. Live streams are a huge platform now. Like, they don't need to do this. I feel like the only reason they were going is because like it was a formality, it was just tradition at this point, and now you can just be like, oh well, we're just gonna set up a live stream during that week, get our information out.
Yeah,
and that's it.
I can see like it sticking to the timeline of like people doing live streams in that week.
Mm-hmm.
But I think E3 as a actual conference and as a tradition is like dead.
Yeah. The only like actual things that worked that E3 was like good for was like, connecting companies and people together, doing business, which is a lot of like, like kind of like the key things that like go under the radar, obviously. Like a lot of big business happens at E3. But and like that's the same thing for like GDC. So like both of these getting canceled is going to be a weird thing in and of itself. Like a lot of people are going to miss out on opportunities and all this sort of stuff. Like that's going to be a thing. That's a whole different conversation in and of itself. But like, there's probably going to be other ways to go about doing that kind of business.
I would think so.
And the idea that like E3 originally started off as like, it was a way for companies to show off their games to the press, mostly like traditional press, not like game magazines and all that sort of stuff, but like the newspapers, the television company or the television news companies, all that sort of stuff.
The New York Times.
Yes, the video games were back at it this week at the Electronics Entertainment Expo. Do they really need to cater to that audience anymore?
Yep, they don't.
And then if they need to, they can just like go, hey, we're gonna go talk to USA Today about our new thing. At any time. So yeah, this whole thing isn't that big of a surprise. I think the weird thing is going to be that like in a year of a new console cycle, it's going to be very strange that like companies are not going to be really probably putting out like big events to like hype up the launch of their console.
Yeah.
Because obviously Microsoft has already got out there and talked about the Xbox Series X, that new Xbox. There we go.
They've Xbox X.
Yes, they've given out specs and everything. They've shown off the box and everything. People know what they're getting into with the new Xbox. Yeah. Essentially, obviously the things we don't know is like if there's going to be like multiple SKUs or anything like that. But for the most part, people know what they're getting into with this. Sony has really kept a tight lid on everything with the PlayStation 5, other than like, hey, we're making the PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
So like they were probably a company that like at some point in time, some point in the near future, they're going to have a big event.
Yep.
To really unveil the PS5. Now, do they do that? Or does it just become, hey, we're going to put on a live stream to discuss the next iteration of the Sony PlayStation?
I mean, I think that given like the state of play, that like that's what they would do.
Yeah. The state of plays though have been like very low key in a way.
Low key?
Yeah. So like I don't know if they would do it for that. I feel like they would just make their own like thing, be like, "Hey, we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5. Come join us."
Yeah, I mean,
and not brand it.
That makes sense. I'm just saying that like they've been doing state of play, so it's not unusual for them
to
make announcements via stream now.
And then Nintendo is obviously just going to do their thing, obviously. So the only thing that like is going to be different for other companies is like they'll have to figure out their own ways of doing this, probably. But like they have avenues to do that, so like I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Well, and like game announcements happen when it's not E3 too, so it's not like the end of the world that E3 is not happening. But I mean, one thing that I was actually having a discussion about today is that I was looking and lamenting at our games played in 2020 list. I was like, God, there's not many games we played this year. I was like, I guess it's going to be a weird year because of the consoles releasing later this year.
It's going to be a weird year, I think, in general, because like there's been a drought in the first few months, which has been kind of weird compared to the past couple of years. But also like because of the whole coronavirus, plague. What was not a plague, but like pandemic. Yes, thank you. Happening at the moment, like. And with the way that companies are basically like, hey, if you're on our game development team and you want to work from home, let's do that. I feel like there's going to be like a ripple effect from this.
Oh, I'm sure there will.
Production's probably going to go like slow down at a point where like we probably will see more delays over the coming year.
I fully expect that, honestly.
I would not be surprised if by the time these consoles come out, there is shortages.
I also believe in that because
If they even get out there and are hit their release date.
that was something I was just about to ask you is do they actually come out this year? Like if they don't get some kind of like if this doesn't clear up soon, I'm not sure that it'll happen.
Mm-hmm. Like the Konami, I think, put out just last week that the TurboGrafx Mini is on hold indefinitely because of production problems due to the coronavirus.
I mean, they can't really manufacture it or ship it
Mm-hmm.
right now. Like they just can't. And like there's no telling how long this will last. Nobody knows because they don't know if it's a seasonal thing or if it's a like
Mm-hmm.
they don't know. Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
I've also heard. I mean, it's obviously just like secondhand stuff, but like people have been like very frantic about a Nintendo Direct and how like there hasn't been one this year so far,
Mm-hmm.
and people wondering like, I wonder if the coronavirus has like decided or like that's a reason why they haven't done a Direct yet.
But I mean, they haven't done a direct and it's March and the coronavirus just started like in February.
But true, like they could have been like thinking like, oh, we're gonna do this in late February or March or something like that.
Yeah.
But now with how things are currently, like maybe they're like, well, let's just not do this right now.
I mean, it's possible.
Maybe
It's
games that they were going to talk about are getting delayed internally that they're just not talking about yet.
that's very, very possible.
Mm-hmm.
But also like it's disgusting to see all the fanboys always like direct, direct now, direct, direct, direct. I'm just like, Jesus, dudes, calm down.
Yeah. Jason Schreier of Kotaku just tweeted this out.
Heard
from two people that E3 cancellation will be announced tomorrow AM, both secondhand, and one person with ESA ties who insists that it won't be. And then says, whether or not it's announced tomorrow morning, it's only a matter of time before E3 is officially canceled. Publishers can't afford to wait much longer to make their plans, and all signs point to the virus getting way worse in the US before it gets better.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, again, all makes sense.
Totally. Also, again, I love him. He's great.
So I think like you're right. Your mention of how like this is going to be a weird year is like going to even be more compounded.
Yeah.
With like the way this is going to affect production in terms of just game development, console production, to where like there is a potential risk that, or not a potential risk, but like a potentialness of like the idea that these consoles don't hit this year.
It's I mean, at this point I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised.
And who knows how many other games are going to get delayed because of this, because of, you know, just various reasons in general. So it's going to be a weird year in general. It's going to be a weird year in general,
Mm-hmm.
but even more so not even more so, but even more so compared to previous years for games, especially just compared to different years where consoles have launched. Like this is going to be like unprecedented, I think. So it's going to be just strange to see how the next few months
play
out, what exactly happens, and how things just end up for the rest of the year.
Man, what the heck?
Because more and more stuff is going to get canceled.
Oh yeah.
This country can't figure out how to literally do anything in the face of a pandemic, so.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw that there is an emergency in Massachusetts, which I just left.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
I saw like some tweet going around like talking about like, oh, like Italy is like under a complete state of emergency. They're closing everything down.
Yep.
South Korea's been doing this. China's been doing this. Meanwhile, in America, do we cancel Coachella?
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Well, and there's also like
obviously they did, but
yeah. But then we also have someone that's like, you know, the top person in the government saying, "Oh, you should go to work." It's like,
yeah.
maybe don't.
The CDC having like literally no plans on how to combat this or anything.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It's a whole dang mess.
So, I would suspect and expect, at the same simultaneously that this is going to have a pretty big effect on video games this year.
It's going to have a big effect on everything.
It will. I'm just saying that since we focus on like the nerdy,
mm-hmm.
I very much think it's going to have an impact on like what we do as people.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Not even including like, hey, my personal life that I do and my worky stuff.
Yeah. Like there's already been animes that have been pushed to the next season because of this.
Really? Wow.
So like I've seen already a few big spring shows have been pushed to summer because of basically production has been slowed down due to coronavirus concerns and all that sort of stuff. Here are some tweets from Patrick Klepek saying, I've heard the ESA have been vetting a statement about E3's status with various publishers and vendors following an emergency meeting to discuss the event's status and future. I won't be surprised if there's some kind of digital E3 based around some press conferences and presentation. My guess is the reason the ESA hasn't said anything is because those plans are still being figured out, which would be interesting, but also just like, again, companies could look at this and be like, yeah, we could just do this ourselves. We don't have to go through you to do this. Why bother?
Man. Are we having fun yet?
Are we having fun? Well, we might be soon. This is clearly the year for everyone to get into Final Fantasy XIV. Let me just tell you.
I mean,
have I told you about Umbrella's new feature?
Yeah, but you also told me about sharks, and like the thing
fair.
is you almost had me. You almost had me, and I was like,
ignore just don't go on the fishing boat. Just
Jared,
ignore everyone with the shark mount.
Jared, it's me.
It's true.
If there's fishing in there,
I mean, you don't have to get the shark mount. You could just leave it in your achievements.
But there are other people with it. But also like.
But also, there's like shark enemies in this game too.
Yikes! But like you saw the text message screenshot I sent you the other day that I am now the queen of fishing.
It's true. Man, I love to fish.
I want that shirt so bad. And no one would get it, and everybody would think that it was like me being serious, and it's not at all me being serious. But I am now part of the Fisherman's Guild and everything, and like Estelle is the ultimate fisherwoman because I am awesome and love to fish. Which, by the way, guys, we're going to talk about second chapter eventually, but not today.
Also, apparently VentureBee is reporting that there's going to be an indie Nintendo Direct next week and a real Nintendo Direct the week after. Supposedly that will rely on remasters and ports.
The one after?
The big Nintendo Direct. Of course, that's just rumors. Obviously, like there's a rumor every day about, hey, there's a Nintendo Direct tomorrow.
Right.
There's a Nintendo Direct tomorrow.
Right. And I mean, like, honestly, with everything going on, like, makes sense that there would be remakes and ports and everything.
Yeah, that's an easy thing to do. Well, not necessarily. Okay, to be fair, I don't know how easy it is to remake or port over something, so that's a very facetious of me to say.
It's easier to get a game from the ground up.
Yes, that's the key point I'm trying to make. Sorry.
And it's faster when you're trying to like keep things running.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're having issues with, well, a pandemic.
Yes. And
you still need to keep the company like funded and all that jazz, like, which Nintendo is not going to have any issues with keeping funding, but
I mean, you want me to tell you about the Nintendo stock price?
Do I want to know?
I don't know. I could check real quick. As a Nintendo stockholder,
my
stocks have gone up apparently.
Oh snap!
$1.94 today.
Wow.
Big gains.
I lost like $3,000 in the past few days.
I bet.
Yeah.
We'll see how well the Nintendo stock has done in the last month. It has lost $2.51 in the past month, $9.18 over the past 3 months.
Well, AMD and Apple went up today, but
it's gone up $1.12 today.
It's been kind of a disaster since we had one of the worst days of the stock market in a decade the other day. Yay! Man. It's real fun when, like, the world feels like it might be ending. But guys, don't stockpile toilet paper. Like, there's no reason for that.
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
I keep hearing that, and I'm just like, why?
I don't either. I guess people...
What else are you using toilet paper for?
Rolling people's houses.
Like, I get, like, you want your butt clean. Obviously, I hope you want your butt clean. but like I don't think you can get that virus from like your butt.
Your butt.
Unless you're just like literally having someone like sneeze into and I don't know how many people are actually doing that.
That's a kink that I don't want to know about, man.
Yeah, so like I don't get that. But obviously like people like just freak out and think like they need survival stuff whenever snowstorms happen. They're like, oh, I need all this toilet paper because I don't know when I'm going to get out of the house. And it's like 3 days later. And it's like, oh, I can get out of the house.
Oh, man. It's wild.
I don't understand people.
I don't either, man. I don't understand people. This has been a wild week for me, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
Speaking of wild,
we were sitting here being like, what do we talk about this week? And we've already talked for 20 minutes about just nothing.
The coronavirus and video games.
Talking about current events.
Yeah, but like current events and video games, that's important to us.
It's important, yes. Like umbrellas in Final Fantasy 14. I spent nearly 1 million gil on buying a parasol.
Okay, but like, let me tell you something really quick. You said umbrella, and the very first thing that came to mind is that scene in Resident Evil 6 where he like falls and it makes the umbrella logo out of the blood. Like that's literally the only thing that came to mind when you said umbrella, and I'm just like, oh, that's not what you mean.
God.
And the fact that that's where my brain immediately goes,
I believe it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Also, I've been playing that Picross Ace Attorney game.
Oh yeah, you have.
Which it seems fine. It hasn't completely blown me away yet, but I'm only like halfway through, so I don't know exactly like how ridiculous it's going to get. No, I don't want this film that's called the same as the game. It's not what I want. But yeah, this seems all right.
You said it has a text message sound.
The what?
You said it had a text message sound.
Oh, it has like the same like text noise that the Ace Attorney games have, like a.
That's
it basically sounds exactly the same.
Cute.
So yeah. I think the key thing that like a lot of people like about this game is that like character designs are by the same person who did How to F a Boyfriend.
Nice.
And they got the Ace Attorney composer.
Nice.
So pretty easy to do. Pretty easy like 1-2 punch there.
That's legit.
I think the only thing that's like kind of been weird about it is that like some of the like the twists and turns have been like pretty predictable.
That's lame because like Ace Attorney like very, very not predictable.
But again, I'm only halfway through, so like maybe there's gonna be some like more wild stuff that will pop up in the upcoming in the latter half of the game.
How do you beat like cross-examining a parrot?
It's true.
How do you beat that?
You have a robot companion.
Okay, or you end up being the defense attorney for an orca.
It's true. That could also happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a thing. Don't want to talk too much about it just because I haven't gone that far into it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, umbrellas in Final Fantasy 14 are pretty good. I get to stand there with my umbrella. I'm like, look at me, I have an umbrella.
Your character's so cute.
Ella. I changed my character, by the way.
What?
I'm a cat.
What?
I changed it to a cat.
Well, you didn't tell me that.
I'll have to show you.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a cat now.
And you dance, and you dance,
and I dance.
Nice.
Final Fantasy 14, available now. Might be the only game you play this year.
Maybe.
Anyways, we were discussing, hey, what do we want to do? And for whatever reason, we were like, you brought up the question, was there ever a King of the Hill game? And I was like, no, there's no way.
I was like, there was a Beavis and Butthead game.
Yes, we did learn that. There's multiple. Many. More than you had anticipated.
Yeah, I only had one.
So I looked at those and I was like, you know what? Let me just take a gander and see if there was one. Sure enough, There was a King of the Hill video game released in the year 2000 for the PC and Mac.
I can't believe.
This is a real thing.
It is a real thing.
A very real video game.
What is the title?
King of the Hill.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow, okay. Creative.
Look, you just need to sell it with the game. It's like, hey,
this is a King of the Hill video
King
game.
of the Hill.
That's what you're getting into.
Yes. So it comes with 2 different game modes that you get to install to your computer, which I'm sure works right now in the year 2020.
Oh, I'm sure.
You get Texas Hunting and Hootenanny. Those are the 2 game modes. So obviously the hunting is a literal hunting simulator.
It is, with a King of the Hill skin.
Yeah, so you get to hang out with all of your favorite King of the Hill characters and go hunting with them.
And their naughty posters.
Like, it's super weird.
It's very weird.
It's way more in depth than you would have imagined for a licensed video game that came out in the year 2000.
It is wild how much like stuff is in this game.
Like, you have to figure out where you got to go. You have to know what animals you can hunt in those areas. You have to have the licenses for those animals. If you hunt something that is not on your license, you will like get suspended for a week.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what items you want to bring along, and you have an item limit.
He can only carry 8 in his truck, is what he
Certain
said.
animals will not be affected by certain guns, and you can bring food.
You can bring
because if you do not, you have to eat, or else it will affect your shooting. You
But
don't want to get hungry.
You can only bring beef jerky and cheese puffs.
That's all you need.
It's true.
So, yeah, it's wild.
It's so wild that this exists, honestly. Like, I cannot get over the fact that this is a actual thing.
The shooting doesn't seem good.
No, it does not.
Which that's the part where you're like, oh, licensed game. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Bringing it back. But just like the amount of detail and depth they put into this is not at all what I was expecting. Also, there's like a scoring system that you use to compete with the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what? It's something. It's
There's
really
a Fleetwood
something.
Mac joke.
There's a Fleetwood Mac joke, and it's good.
It's real good.
I was like, wow, that's pretty. They have like little articles you can read before you go out hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, that's again more detail than you would have anticipated.
It was like what?
Hill County, not named after Bobby Hill.
Nick Steve from Fleetwood something? Is that how it was?
Yes.
It's funny. It's real funny.
Yeah, there's a lot to this game that I was like, oh, this is going to be just a
crap game.
tie-in game that has the King of the Hill license. Like, no, here's a hunting simulation type doohickey.
It's so in-depth.
So that's that half of the game. The other half has you becoming a new neighbor.
Yep.
To all the characters, and they throw a block party, and you get to go do mini games. Which this part seems more in line with like, oh yeah, licensed game.
Oh yeah, you have to like sign an HOA form and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
I did have to laugh because like when you're signing the form, there's a sign in the back that's one of those like God bless this mess signs.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh god, that was like in everybody's house in
Yep.
like the late 90s. Everybody had that. It was basically like the late 90s version of like Eat, Pray, Love or whatever it was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Live, laugh, love, whatever. I forget what it is. It's that white people thing.
When you boot up this portion of the game, you get a postage size version of the opening to King of the Hill.
Oh god, yeah, you do.
Like it's a Sega CD game.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, I'm all into this.
It is. It's all voice acted.
Yeah, the entire voice cast is there, which is very surprising.
I did not expect that.
So like they put a lot of effort into this, clearly.
They really did, and like the art's not bad. Like it's hand drawn. You could tell that it's like
it's the King of the Hill art.
Yeah.
So like obviously that is pretty simplistic, but
even still, like that's some effort.
It all looks really good. It looks like it is the style of the show,
which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's so wild.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen?
It's the power of the personal computer, clearly.
Oh my god.
So like So yeah, like they have this block party. You get to go do mini games. You can talk to like all of the characters that are at the party and everything, and they'll have just weird things to say to you. But you have like these mini games where like you get to go on a scavenger hunt through the Hill House with Bobby.
Which like some of those clues are very weird,
Mm-hmm.
and I would not have figured them out.
Mm-hmm.
But Bobby's like, "Yay, you figured out my things," and I'm like, "Wait, what? How? How did you figure out what that was supposed to be?"
Which is like a point and click, like almost like a first person adventure game in a
Yeah,
way.
it is.
Um,
It's like travel through their house.
yeah, you get to play paintball with Dale.
Yeah, which like, what?
Sha-sha.
You mean
Bucket sand.
Rusty Shackleford?
Rusty Shackleford.
Which I will say, we're talking about how it's inaccurate that he would ever turn his back to you in the hunting
It's
area because like
Rusty Shackleford would never turn his back on someone with a gun.
he wouldn't, and especially not somebody that he like barely knows.
Mm-hmm. The best part about the hunting game is like it gives like name yourself, and then you're just like you're in a store, and Hank comes up to you like, I see you've got some nice hunting equipment. Me and my friends have just made a hunting group. I know this might seem forward, but would you like to join? Whoa.
Yeah, it's a very like ham-fisted way of getting you to hang out with the King of the Hill
Yes.
guys.
Like, how do we write this so that you get to go join them? You just join them immediately. Okay, cool.
Yep, done. Genius. Wipe your hands clean. It's fine.
There's a tic-tac-toe game you get to play with Peggy.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lawnmower race.
Oh my god, the lawnmower race.
It's something.
It's so bad.
You have to like mow the lawn. Also, you have to like empty out the lawn mowing bag, or else you can't do anything. Mechanics.
But there's also like a sprinkler that you can't run over, and like trees
hay bales.
Yeah, why are the hay bales there?
It's a challenge.
Who does that?
Gotta make it challenging.
Do we?
And then you end with mini golf.
Oh boy, that mini golf.
Which does not look good.
No, it does not.
Which I'm wondering is if like they just took the engine from like, because there was apparently a Beavis and Butthead mini golf game that came out in '99.
Which we learned about while we were doing the research.
So I wonder if this was the same developers who did that. Actually,
probably.
I could look that up.
We have the power of the internet.
We have the power of the internet. So yeah, I wonder if like that was the case. Maybe
it's very
not.
possible. I mean, like, it seems very specific to be like, we have mini golf.
Right. Especially when this other Mike Judge game had mini golf.
Right. It's, man. What a weird video game this is.
Apparently.
Uh-oh.
The developers of this game had at some point developed a Burger Time game.
What?
Flying Tiger Entertainment is a development company and publisher started by Johnny Brandsetter, better known as TurboGrafx Johnny Turbo.
I loved Burger Time so much.
So they probably put a Burger Time on like the TurboGrafx.
Wow.
Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? Burger Time.
Wow. Speaking of games that I really, really liked, and this is a little bit of a segue that's like momentarily, but they're re-releasing like the Tiger Electronics handheld games, and they have like a Little Mermaid one that I was like super jazzed about when I was a kid. It came out like 1991.
All those were terrible.
They're so bad.
They're really bad.
Really bad. And I saw that they were re-releasing it, and I'm just like, I can't do this to myself. It was
no one should do that to themselves.
But I played the hell out of it when I was a kid.
It was two different companies that did this game and the Beavis and Butthead mini golf game.
Honestly, I am shocked by that.
This company, the company that did the Beavis and Butthead game, made Super Caesar's Palace for the Super Nintendo, a game that I owned.
Really?
Yep.
Oh man, yeah. Like I said, I had the Beavis and Butthead game on the Genesis. You know what's a real missed opportunity though?
What's that?
for there to be like a Mario Kart style game, but with King of the Hill and
There is
like
a
lawnmowers.
there is a stark depletion of the market share of King of the Hill games.
I agree. There need to be more King of the Hill games.
The fact that there's one is astonishing enough, but the fact that there aren't more. If King of the Hill had come out today, there would be multiple games of the show.
You think so?
If it was basically had like the same fervor and like popularity that it did,
yeah,
I think it would probably have like multiple video games.
It might have been like in the PS2 era, like how Family Guy had like.
Was there Family Guy games? Gross.
Yeah, there were Family Guy games.
Ugh.
I'm pretty sure. I could.
Well, hang on. I'm gonna look this up.
I could be lying. I could be making.
I know there's like
up.
mobile games that they made. Well, there's a Family Guy pinball game, man.
Ew.
Man.
Ew.
Oh, let's see here. Also, apparently, the team that did the King of the Hill game was part of making the first Digimon World game.
What?
There was a Family Guy game on the 360 and PS3, and on the PS2, PSP, and Xbox.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I remember.
Gross.
Yeah, very gross. But like, probably would have had a licensed game like that kind of thing. Can you imagine like a King of the Hill visual novel?
I wish I could.
God, I'd play the hell out of that.
Too good. Too good is what I say.
Man, King of the Hill. What a good show. Needs
True.
more video games.
True.
Get on it, game developers.
We were talking about how, like, you have a gameplay moment where you have to go out back and drink beer with the guys.
Yeah.
And everyone just has, like, a sip beer button and then a yep button.
Yep.
But then when you get to Boomhauer, you have to put in, like, fighting game combinations for him to say his line.
Yep. That'd be really good.
So you do, like, quarter circle back, half circle forward, up, down, AB, down, down, right, quarter circle, dragon punch motion, which is, like, forward and then quarter circle. Spin the entire analog stick or D-pad 2 times in a row, and then you hit start, and he's like, man, I'll tell you what, dang old beer, I'm good, I'll sip it on, get that stuff on there, hang on, get that flat bill, and dang old, yeah, yep.
Did I ever tell you that my friend once told me that my dad was basically Boomhauer and that he couldn't understand when he would speak to him?
Oh my God.
And like after he said that, I was like, oh my God, like if you haven't been around him, he's right. Like, you know, I lived with him for a massive amount of my life. And so like I could interpret what he was saying, much like they can on King of the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
But like I understand now from an outside perspective, like people could not understand my dad because he sounded like Boomhauer, and that's hilarious to me. And so now I'm imagining like somebody having to do like a crazy fighting game thing to make my dad speak.
Good.
Oh man, there's so much you could do with a King of the Hill video game.
There really is. It's a shame that that'll never happen.
What a tragedy.
Unless there's a reboot of King of the Hill. I don't think you could do a reboot of King of the Hill.
I mean, 2 of the voice actors are dead.
Well, that is a reason why, but I don't think like that show would work in today's climate.
No, I don't think so either. But
that is a show that was of its time. Like, not necessarily in a bad way.
No, but like I don't think you could pull something off like that now.
The climate of today is much different than the climate of the late 90s, let's say. As someone who was just writing about a moment that aired on American television in the late 90s, I can tell you about that.
It's true. But like, man, that doesn't mean that people couldn't make King of the Hill video games that are great.
I wonder if it would even be possible. Like,
I doubt it would.
Like, how much of a licensing nightmare would that be?
Probably a huge licensing nightmare, but like, I could still want it.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just on this thought train now of like, who owns the rights to King of the Hill right now? Like, is King of the Hill right now a Disney property? Does Fox still retain the rights to King of the Hill, even though it's in syndication and everything?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or like have the rights lapsed or something and no one owns it? Is Mike Judge just like sitting somewhere just like clutching the King of the Hill rights for all of its worth? Is Hank Hill a Disney princess? That's the real question.
Yes, absolutely yes.
That's what we need to know.
I
Apparently,
think
you
that
can watch King of the Hill on Hulu.
I have Hulu. Actually, I watched the first episode of King of the Hill on Hulu when Keller first gave me his Hulu account.
Good.
Yep, that was the first thing I watched on Hulu as soon as I got it.
Whoa.
What?
Hang on. Okay. Apparently there is a new show they put out on Fox called Bless the Hearts, which loosely takes place in the King of the Hill universe.
What?
Because it features like the same store.
Oh.
But doesn't involve like Mike Judge or anything.
Oh, that's lame.
But it does have like a few story editors that were on King of the Hill. But it's very loose apparently, so. Loosey goosey. How long did King of the Hill run for? Welcome to our episode about King of the Hill.
You know what? King of the Hill deserves its own episode. King of the Hill
ran until 2010. What? Get out of here.
It is a good slice of life anime.
From January 97 to May 2010.
Are you serious?
I would not have imagined. Hang on. Okay, the final episode aired on Fox on September 13, 2009. 4 episodes from the final season were to have aired on Fox, but later premiered in nightly syndication from May 3rd to 6th, 2010.
Oh, wow.
I would never have imagined that.
No, same.
This show ran that long.
So again, why are there not more King of the Hill video games?
That's a great question. How did we go this long without that? Also, how did this show last that long?
That's a good question, too.
What happened?
So did it end like when Brittany Murphy died?
Let's see. No, she died in December of 2009.
Oh, okay.
So I would assume she would have... Well, yeah, she would have been alive, obviously, because the show ended before she died.
Yeah.
So she would have been able to finish that out. But what the f***?
Man. Well, now Tom Petty's dead, too, so... Tragic. Yo, King of the Hill is a good show, and I do think that it deserves better than like the mini golf game.
Yes.
But the fact that this exists is just like wild to me. I never ever would have expected it.
13 seasons.
Wow. I don't know how to react to that information. Do you?
13 seasons.
How do we react to this?
How did they not make a movie?
Oh, that's a solid question.
Community told me 6 seasons in the movie is all you need. They went over twice the amount of seasons.
But no movie. But they did get a video game.
Mike Judge did Silicon Valley?
Yeah, he did.
Huh.
It was actually a really good show.
I just thought he just disappeared after King of the Hill.
No. But, I mean, like...
He's just gone. He's like, I'm good.
One thing about Silicon Valley, though, is that he ended it because he was basically like, yeah, it's becoming too close to real life and I can't handle that. Because he's like, you know, with Zuckerberg and Facebook and like, what was it? Analytica. I forget the first part of it. He's like, yeah, it's too close. And it's like, man, that's got to feel bad.
Did you know King of the Hill won 2 Emmy Awards?
What did it win it for?
Hang on, I gotta find them again. In '99, it won the Outstanding Animated Program for programming 1 hour or less.
Okay.
And then
Yes.
in 2002, the voice actors for Bobby Hill won Outstanding Voiceover Performance at the Emmys.
Amazing. Amazing. I've learned so much about King of the Hill in this like past hour that I did not know before.
That's
And
what
I,
we're here for.
and the thing is that like I consider myself a pretty big King of the Hill fan.
One of Time Magazine's 100 greatest television shows of all time.
I agree with that.
Where did it rank? So, from what I'm seeing, this is still under the Fox umbrella. Fox still has the rights to it, I'm assuming.
Oh, okay.
So, King of the Hill is a Disney property now,
So
along with literally everything else.
So Hank Hill is a Disney princess.
So, Hank Hill is a Disney princess.
So is Bobby Hill.
So is Bobby Hill, yes.
So is Rusty Shackelford.
So is, yes.
Pocket Sand.
Disney character Dale Gribble.
That's wild to think about.
My God.
Dale Gribble as the I love that I just always call him Rusty Shackelford.
I mean, that's his name.
It's his name, Pocket Sand.
I can't find the full list of this time list because it just takes you to like the King of the Hill page where they wrote something about it.
Tragic.
Oh, hang on. I will read what they wrote about King of the Hill.
Please do.
The most acutely observed realistic sitcom about regional American life bar none. This animated series is a lot like its protagonist, Texas propane salesman Hank Hill. It isn't flashy, never gets a lot of attention, but it does its job year in and year out. With a harsh war veteran father, a pudgy son more interested in prop comedy than football, and a stubborn, boggle-obsessed wife, Hank tries to avoid both his dad's callousness and PC feel-goodism while sticking to his principles of hard work in a world that rewards shortcuts. Creator Mike Judge makes Hank funny in his painted Boy Scout rectitude? Sure, without making him a figure of fun for it. And with its canvas of megastores and lash-in yuppies, the show sees modern America's fine detail like an electron microscope.
I think they missed the fact that like so much of it is satire.
Yeah.
Like that's what they really should have highlighted is that this is like gold tier satire.
Mm-hmm.
Man. What a good show.
Did you know Boomhauer's name is Jeff?
What?
Apparently that was revealed in the 13th and final season. Also, the series finale reveals he's a Texas Ranger.
I did know that. I did know he's a Texas Ranger. That's his profession. You didn't know that, huh?
I mean, I kind of fell off the King of the Hill wagon when by the time 2010 happened.
I was like a grown human being at that time.
You were? I was also a grown human being.
Yeah, but like I wasn't when it started.
No.
Wow. How do we deal with this information?
Do we?
No. We just appreciate that King of the Hill exists, and so does a King of the Hill video game. Even if it isn't the video game that it really deserves.
But it could be.
It could be. Somebody made King of the Hill visual novel,
there were
please.
16:9 episodes of King of the Hill. That's how long it lasted. Wow. One season of it, but that's how long it lasted. There is King of the Hill on Blu-ray.
Oh my god. This has been a very enlightening experience for me.
It really has.
And it's wild because it's just like a throwaway comment from me asking if there was ever a King of the Hill video game. How did I do this?
How did you do this?
I am awful.
In 2016, reappraisal from The Atlantic dubbed it the last bipartisan TV comedy.
Yes, bipartisan.
With the writer noting the program imbued all of his characters with a rich humanity that made their foibles deeply sympathetic. In this, King of the Hill was far ahead of his time, and the broader TV landscape has yet to catch up.
Was it bipartisan?
It's a slice of life. All slice of life shows are bipartisan. Did you know?
It is slice of life. You are correct. What a I can't put into words how much I love King of the Hill. Can't. But it's bad. But it's bad that I had like a Beavis and Butthead game, and like that's what I remember. It was like conflating it with King of the.
Two different shows.
Well, it is, but I thought that there was like the prototype Hank Hill in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know for sure or not because I haven't gone back to check, but I was thinking. But regardless, like now that I know that this is a thing, I'm like, all right, A+. Now I know that there is a King of the Hill video game and my life is better for it. I hope your life is also better for it.
It's true. I feel much more enlightened after tonight than I did.
Now we know to bring both the guns.
It's true. Always bring both guns.
It's true. And the cheese puffs and the beef jerky.
So there you go. I guess that's our episode.
What an episode. Sometimes we like to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll be back with something more traditional next week. Maybe. I still think this was fun though.
Oh, it was. It's a weird episode.
It's a weird episode. It's like current events in King of the Hill.
Finally, what the world needs.
It's true. I mean, like, what the world needs now is not Love, Sweet Love. It is King of the Hill video games.
What if there was a King of the Hill Otome game?
I was actually thinking about that, but I was like...
Do I want to put this out in the world?
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
I'm brave enough to say that.
I didn't want to say it. I mean...
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode.
Yep, we're done. Goodbye.
If you would like more from us, go to seasonalcheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Seasonal Checkup and Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you want more from Ann Ladium, go to annladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/animecheckup. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza. Get podcasts early. All that fun stuff. Next week, we will talk about something. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got a few things up my sleeve that we could talk about for sure.
Well, I have nothing up my sleeve. Just kidding. Some point we got to do some Matcha Madness.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll be next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on spring break next week, so we got time.
That would probably be the best time to do it then.
I agree.
Because obviously we only have 2 more episodes left of March as well, so...
Yep, I think that's the best time.
Let's probably do it next week, so how about that? March Madness returns next week.
Woo!
So, look forward to that. Also, there will be an episode on Patreon exclusive to that where we will discuss our choices for the bracket and everything. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get the scoops, sign up for the Patreon. Yeah.
Hold on to your butts, y'all.
That's why they got all that toilet paper.
Ah!
It all comes back now.
Now we know.